Hello everyone. I think I had some network issue, but I was being cut off by the network. So I'm going to continue from where I stopped. Hello everyone. Can anybody hear me? Hello. Hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, all right. All right. So I'm going to read a brief about our guest speaker, is Dr. Praise Akobo. Dr. Praise Akobo has over 5 years of experience in social service, using education to drive wholesome health. She is a disability inclusive advocate and executive director of Lead Up Development Initiative, formerly called YOWAD, building young leaders, especially in PWDs, persons with disability living in vulnerable communities and underrepresented societies, and facilitates leadership training program in tertiary institutions. She is a performance strategist, providing strategies to individuals and organizations to boost productivity and performance in areas such as people projects, product management, leadership, communication, and creative writing. She handles and trains individuals on professional writing like CV, resumes, cover letters, statements of purpose with accompanying successes afterward. Her contribution to the development space have earned her significance as a fellow of Mandela Washington Fellowship USA, YGLN Ghana, Accountability Lab, Aspire Leaders Program, Women Textile Fellowship, Younger, etc. She has received other awards like OD Impact Challenge, 30 Under 30 Changemaker, and Young Social Innovators of the Year, Community Impact Award, and Community Volunteer Award. Dr. Praise is a veterinary medical graduate from Joseph Shahua Tapa University, influencing our space through human-animal interaction and creating a world where everyone has an equal shot at a healthy life, irrespective of their background, rural or circumstance, disability. You all please help me welcome our guest speaker in person of Dr. Faith Akoba. You are highly welcome to our Miss Ma, and we are so happy having you in our midst tonight. Dr. Praise Akobo, Ma, you can take over from where I stop. You have the floor, Ma.
Okay, thank you very much, Jide. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Sorry, I will be turning on my video. I will just go ahead to share my screen immediately. Hope you can still hear me. I think I've been made a co-host, right?
Yeah, I've already done that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, a co-host already, ma.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. So, let me be sure that. Sorry, can you see my screen? Let me use the screen share button. Sorry, can you see my screen already? You can also use the chat box just to let me know that you can see my screen.
All right, we can. Thank you. The power to make your first impression.
Okay, that's what you can see, right? No problem.
Yes, ma'am, we can see that.
Okay, thank you. All right, so good evening, everyone. Good to be here. I can see the persons we have here already. And thank you, GD. I can't recall the name of the second person who was facilitating, but GD, thank you very much for the introduction. All right, we are already 15 minutes behind schedule. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, ma. We can hear you, ma. Go ahead, ma.
So we're already 15 minutes behind schedule, so I would love to just kickstart the section. Okay, I was trying to observe from my end because I need the screen to be Is someone trying to speak? I don't really hear anything.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so from what I can see from my screen, this is not how it should reflect. So I wanted to adjust it because I can monitor from my phone as well. So let me see. Okay. All right, let's roll. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's section, and we are going to be talking about building an excellent CV and professional profile, and focusing on students. So we're focusing on students, how you can really build your professional profile as students, right? So I'll just take us through the section, and please, let's ensure that it's interactive. I don't enjoy a section that is not interactive, and as we are rolling, if you have any question, please just note it down, because the basic thing we need to achieve at the end of the day is that you can craft your CV yourself in a compelling way, and as well, you are able to build your profile professionally. So I will just move right to the next slide. Okay, so well, there's been an introduction already, but specifically for this section, what I do and anything around sections like this is just helping you leverage your social skills, networks to build your personal and professional journey. And that's what we are here to do together. Because if you're talking about building your professional profile, you can't talk about that without ensuring that your personal brand and your personal profile is being built. Because if we look you up on the social media and who you are on the media, if it is different from who you are personally, then it doesn't just make sense, right? So it means that whatever you're saying that this is me on the media, if I can see you personally and interact with you, I should also find the same person. I should also be able to get the same value I can get from you when I get to see you on the social media. We understand that there's packaging on the media, right? But then while you're packaging on the media, ensure that you're also packaging yourself personally, which means you ensuring that you're building yourself and you're building capacity. So at the end of this section, the 4 things that we would be going home with clearly would be steps in building the professional profile. We're going to be linking keywords and ATS, the do's and don'ts in writing a CV, and how to make your CV smart. So these are key things that we would be looking at together. And please, like I said, let it be interactive. I'll be looking at the chat box. So let me just minimize. I'll be looking at the chat box to see that I can also flow with what's happening. So how do you build your professional profile? So one very key thing is setting your clear goals. For a number of persons, they prefer to have like a vision board. This is August. We're almost coming towards the end of the year, but then it's never late. So if you had started the year with having like clear goals stated in your board or whatsoever strategy worked for you. So at this point in building your profile, you have to ensure that you set both short and long-term goals for what you want to achieve. So let's say that your target is that at the end of the year, that you want to probably be a project manager, or let's say you want to have been able to grow yourself in the social media space by probably being a social media strategist or a social media manager. So it means that setting your clear goals will go in the line of you stating them as short-term goals. So within this time frame, what do I want to achieve? So do I want to probably take courses that would build my skill in that area for this particular month, let's say 3 months? Do I want to volunteer? Like I said, if you're looking at a role, a paid role, so do I want to volunteer so that I already have some of these things that would show that I have a form of mastery in this area? Then insist on visibility. So visibility, nobody ever knows a silent expert. So if you don't put yourself out there, no one can do that for you. And one thing I always say is that if you are not phenomenal, you will be forgotten. If you're not phenomenal, you'll be forgotten. So how do you make yourself phenomenal? Just ensure that your social media handles reflects your interest. So some persons, when you go to their social media handles, you'll be wondering, so what does this person actually do? Because the person has allowed everybody to tag him or her. So let's use Facebook as an example. If you want to limit the number of persons who get to tag you to everything that they think that is their interest, then you're limiting the profile visibility of your interest. So what do you need to do? Go to your settings and ensure that you limit all of that. Of course, it's something that is very easy. So just go there and ensure that you are the one to approve any form of tag. Then ensure that you keep on creating content. Content are in different directions, right? Different ways. So create content related to what you're doing. Imagine giving yourself a target of like 2 months and maybe creating content once in a week. I believe I'm speaking to students, and I was once a student. In fact, I just left the student category, right? So I knew how it was for me, and I know how it can be being in the student space, especially, well, Konect. I'm believing that we would have more of veterinary students here. And if that's the case, I understand your schedule, and I know how tedious it can be because I was a veterinary student and I'm a veterinary doctor at the moment. So all I'm saying is that set clear and specific goals. So for me, knowing how my schedule can be, because aside being a student, I had other things I was doing. So it means that for my profile, if I wanted to set a clear goal and insist on my visibility, I would say that for once in a week, I would create a post, whether in form of video, in the form of animation, if you're good on that, whatever way, in a post, whatever way you feel that you've grown more capacity in, then you can flow in that direction. Then another thing is look at volunteering opportunities, right? Yeah, so volunteering opportunities, I've mentioned that before, internship, personal projects. So the line of personal projects, most times, if you're going in the line of a tech job, you want to probably get an entry-level job. Personal projects are things that when people look at, they see that, oh, if this person can actually handle a project in this line, despite it being a personal project, they see you as one who can think outside the box and who can lead initiatives. So it means that you can actually create something for yourself and see how you can push yourself to achieving it. So that's personal projects. Now we have hackathons. Hackathons are in the form of group projects. That's why I wrote it there. So the group projects, you can be involved in some, let's say, I would utilize platforms like the LinkedIn Learning app, all of those apps. So there's a space where you can also collaborate with people from such apps, but then you can also intentionally go in for training courses, let's say in tech, whereby at the end of the day, there's a demo presentation, then you have to collaborate in a group with set of persons. So if you can handle that and you have them in your profile, of course, that's really building yourself professionally. The last thing I would just notice, build on your skill sets needed in your industry. So whatsoever industry you're looking at, let's also recall, I don't know the demography of persons here at the moment, but I want to believe that we have people from other departments. I want to believe that. So if we have that and you're not just a veterinary student on the call, so it means that you're also looking at how you can build your skill set in various areas related to your course. That is, even if you're not looking in the line of practice much later, right? At the moment, you're a veterinary student. So can you look out for soft skills that you think that at the end of the day, it is needed as a veterinary student? And I'm going to list out a few of them going forward. But then in whatsoever area, there are general soft skills that are needed, there are general technical skills that are needed, and there are general hard skills that you should also look out for. So check the line of interest or the industry you're looking forward to and research key skills that will be needed in the workplace and grow yourself in it. We've already stated ways you can grow yourself in that area. Sorry, I don't know what's happening. I can't screen share. I can't put my slide on slideshow today. I really don't know what's happening, but I just hope we can see it clearly as much as I want it to be. So you're not supposed to actually get to see the other part. So the next thing would be we focusing on, sorry, who is the person admitting people? Because I can see someone trying to join and person is still in the waiting room. So please, can you help out with that? Though I just did that now. So please watch out. Thank you. So our focus now is on CV, and CV writing is a form of you building your profile professionally. Please, if you can still hear me and you're on the call, can you indicate either using the chat box or using the reaction button? Just before I continue, can you indicate, please?
So we can hear you, ma, loud and clear.
All right, thank you very much. So I believe you can still see my screen.
Yes,
So
ma. You can.
All right, thank you. So we'll just continue. I was talking about building your professional profile, and I said that a strong way to build your professional profile is looking at your CV. And these are just background details about CV, where its origin. So we had someone there, it was like an interview, and the person was actually asked what CV meant. So you can imagine being in an interview and you're being asked that question and you have no idea about that, right? So that's the reason I get to put out simple details like this when I'm talking about CV writing. So the next thing to just emphasize on is the difference between CV rather and resume. So please, it's resume. I've heard people call it in ways that isn't right. So resume comes from the French word summary. Comes from the French word and it means summary. And of course, curriculum vitae means course of one's life. So basically, CV is just like your pitch deck. That's the way I love to describe it. So your pitch deck in a written format. So that's why I refer to it as your marketing tool and just like basic summary about your experience that is on paper. And if you get to meet someone today, especially people in the business world, development world, one of the things that you usually use to sell yourself is your complimentary card, right? So your CV is also your complimentary card because you don't have like an opportunity to make that impression if you don't make it the best way through your CV. So these are things to really note. Then going forward, we'll just talk about the difference between a CV and a resume. Okay, I'll just keep admitting for now. All right, so I will talk about the difference between a CV and resume, but then before that, one thing people don't understand about when you submit your CV is that there is an automated system, especially when you have thousands of CVs. So that automated system, it's what gives you like an edge. And if you understand how the automated system work, you'll be able to really fly. So the difference between CV and resume is just really basic. So we have like different countries actually use that interchangeably, but the basic difference is that a CV is actually longer. So if you can see how I stated it there, looking at the length, the content, and the purpose. So it's longer, of course, while the resume is shorter. Then for content, your CV has basically your list of education, experience, and your academic background, while your resume has the summary of your skills, experience, and education. And like I said, a page. And of course, the purpose really does not differ. But then most times for scholarships specifically, they demand for your CV. So the automated process I was talking about is something called the skill screen out process, and it's a software referred to as the application tracking system. So it actually takes just like an average of 6 minutes to get through the door of any recruiter. So what do you do to up your game as a student? You ensure that you research keywords of each job you're applying for. Now, when a job application rolls out, ensure that you read through that job application very well, whether be it an internship application, a volunteering application. Read through it clearly to understand what they are looking for and understand the key responsibility, what the criteria and everything. So with that, it's very easy for you to research online. It's very simple. You just ask Google or your AI, ask what are the keywords necessary for this job. So if the job role is a social media manager, so you ask that way. If it's a content creator, you ask the question that way. And once it gives you what the keywords are, one thing to also avoid is avoid buzzwords. Buzzwords. And what I mean by that is some people will now ensure that their CV has so much of those keywords. No, that's not what we want, right? So, but just ensure that your CV at every point has those necessary keywords for that particular role. I'm trying to really run because we have to cover like the basic thing for today. So I'm looking at the charts and I can see okay, so Jide, you're saying I should still make you the host again. All
Yes,
right.
I was cut off by network.
Okay, I'll do that now. So who is the Vet Connect? Who is handling the Vet Connect?
I think that should be Vivian.
Because the person is the host at the moment.
Is that disturbing you, man?
No, it's totally fine. So let's just continue, please.
Then.
Yes. So the next focal point for us would be talking about a very important thing. I see that a lot of persons keep making errors. Just last week, I reviewed a CV and I still saw some of these errors. And it's something that we must really note going forward, right? So the anatomy of a CV, I felt I was going to interface with more of vet students. Sorry. I'm having some issues in my laptop today. So you keep, okay. All right, so crafting a standout CV. I've talked about the ATS compliance aspect. So the professional summary and all of these things are things to look out for when you are crafting a standout CV or trying to ensure that your CV is outstanding, right? So one key thing I will focus on here would be the use of strong verbs. So you don't have to use I. So the third person narrative is something that is welcomed and something that ensures that your CV is actually beating the standard. So the use of verbs, like I've mentioned, then ensure that your CV is tailored to the job description. So most times you're applying for a job in the line of content creator and you're utilizing a CV that you created in the past for a social media management. job, internship, or volunteer role. It doesn't just work. And of course, you won't get through the door, right? You would never be called. So you're wondering why most times you don't get called for the job or whatsoever stuff you've applied for. So these are certain things. So look at your key responsibility and your key achievements, and you have to ensure that you quantify your achievements, right? So the things to avoid is actually something noteworthy, and these are things that I keep seeing in CVs all the time, and they are not necessary. Please just still ensure that you're noting down your questions, please. So the first thing is I will just focus on your gaps. So gaps and lies. So most times people go to fabricate a whole lot and place on their CVs. And when, let's say eventually, because of the fabrication, they get through the door of the first stage and it comes to the interview and they're not able to defend what they've written in their CVs. So you should avoid that completely. If you've not built yourself the necessary skills needed for that job, then go for the one that you've built yourself and see how to build yourself in that line. So you can give yourself like a target, like we said from the beginning, and work on it. Then references, you don't need that. If it is required, you'll be asked for it. Generics, avoid being general in your CV. So being general means that you should state, remember I already said that your CV should be tailored, right? So generics are you stating, maybe let's say that you're trying to state like a particular achievement in a role. And I'm using more of content creator, social media management, because that's like one aspect I see a lot of students really exploring. But if you want me to utilize other examples, you can drop it on the chat box as well. But I'll be using more of that, and as well, let's say project management and all of that. So avoid utilizing, I want to do this. I want to add value to, I want to add value to an organization. So you want to add value, state the name of the organization, state, let's say that they've stated what the responsibilities are. You state that this is the responsibility you want to actually bring in to the organization. Then some of the skills that employers look out for are, so these are specifically soft skills. So as a student, these are things that you can really build yourself on, and it will definitely help out. I won't be stressing so much on that part for now. So I'm going to be asking us a question, and I want us to really give our feedback at this point. I'd appreciate that close to everybody gives their feedback at this point. So the question I would love to ask is something in the line of business. I believe we have people who are interested in the line of business, maybe offering a product or a service. And I'm going to ask, so now this is the question. And after stating the question, you have to tell me, if you were the one in the capacity to employ a person, who would you employ from these two persons? Now, you're in a room and you asked somebody a question. This person has like a particular product, which is juice. And this is how the person explained what products he or she had. I hope you can hear me clearly. So the first person said that we make extraordinary juice that is natural, yet energizing to the body and has a calming effect in the mouth. So let's get the first one. I said we make extraordinary juice that is natural, yet energizing to the body and has a calming effect in the mouth. So that's the first person. Now the second person said, all we do here stems from the belief that people can live healthy. The way we ensure that people are living healthy lives is by making our juice natural, yet with an extraordinary taste, calming effect in the mouth, and energizing to the body. So if you were to employ somebody, who would you employ? Did we get the question?
Yes, ma, we got that, ma. If someone like me now, if I'm to employ any of them, I will rather go for the second patient because patient actually made give it in a more elaborate give a more elaborate explanation about what they do actually. So I'll prefer to go for the second patient.
Okay.
I'll go for the second patient, ma.
Okay. Any other person? If you can't speak, let me check the chat. Okay, second. Okay, please let's talk about, okay. Any other question? Second. Okay, so okay, so you didn't state the reason you're going for the second person. Is it still the same thing Jide said? Is it because of the fact that the person was able to elaborate more on what he or she was doing? Just one more comment so I can roll. Okay, so the second person knows her onion. Okay, thank you very much. So there's just one thing, one key thing from that second statement. So we are all correct. But there's one thing. The person said, all we do here stems from the belief that people can live healthy. So whatsoever, be it you're offering a service, a product, you're writing your CV, put yourself in the place of the recruiter. So look at your CV and ask yourself, if I was the one employing, would I employ myself? Ask yourself that question sincerely. And ensure that your CV is able to speak clearly what you have done and what you're planning to do and your interests. Ensure that your CV is able to state that specifically. And people are usually captivated when you can sell your why, when you can tell them the reason why you're doing what you're doing. So thank you very much for the responses. So the next thing to just emphasize on would be, like I said, I think I mentioned the anatomy of a CV earlier on. So we are going closely into the aspect of CV writing now. So these are key things that should not be missing out on your CV: your headline, your personal information, your educational background, your work experience, core knowledge and competence, trainings and certification, and of course, your awards, if you have any. Sorry. So, the headline, for this particular class, to be sincere, I've stopped sharing screenshots of CVs that we've had to, because it's a privacy stuff, right? So I may not be able to share screenshots, but then I will just explain to us how we can really craft our CV, looking at this anatomy of a CV. And if I had brought my CV or probably someone's CV that we had guided the person or supported the person or even worked on, what I've seen happening, people just screenshot it and, it's still the whole privacy thing. So I may not be able to do that today, but after the call, if there's anything you need much more clarity on, you can let us know. All right, so the first thing, like I said the headline, right? Going back to the former slide, headline, then personal information. So the headline is just about you stating, let's say that the job you're going for is a project management job. Now, project management requires someone that is good with administration, requires someone that is good in the aspect of, let's say, organizational abilities, administration, organizational abilities, and even analysis, advocacy, especially if you're in the line of the development space. So if it's in the line of content creation, so you can have in your headline content writing, because if you're a content creator, you should actually be good in that content. So you could have content writing, you could have, if you're good in the aspect of video editing. So this is just what the headline means. So for project manager, you could have project development. Then you could also have analysis, administration, but it shouldn't be more than 4 headlines, right? So this is just you spelling out your strong key skills on top of your CV so that it is bold enough for the the recruiter to see it. So your personal information, I still see people writing. Remember I said that you don't need all of the age and all of those basic details, right? So if you look downwards where I wrote personal information, so I used my self as an example. So you also do not need to state where you live, like this name of the streets. I see that a lot. It's not necessary. Jide trying to join the call again. So it is not necessary to state the street. So imagine you have someone along that street who is actually the one trying to admit people into that job role. So these are biases. The person could see that, and that's how you end up not getting that job, right? So aside all of those biases, it is not the standard. So you should not have that. So you can probably just state, let's say you live in Makurdi, so you can just state Makurdi, right? Makurdi, Benue State. If it's a job outside Nigeria, you don't actually need to state anything more than just Makurdi, Nigeria. That's very much okay. Then ensure that you have your professional email. If you still have all of those emails that are not professional, please ensure that you create a professional email. You don't need to have emails such as Prince, the King, all of those things. So ensure that your emails has just your first name and your last name. If you still want to merge your middle name, still fine, but please ensure you have that. Then if you try creating, and of course, most times you already have people with same name, so you can use symbols, underscore, full stop, like all of that to still ensure that your email is professional. Then your name. Please, if you're not on LinkedIn here, if you're still not on LinkedIn here, please ensure that you utilize that space. It's a professional space. So I usually call LinkedIn the professional Facebook. I've been able to get a lot of opportunities from LinkedIn that today I'm so grateful that I launched into that space. So please have a LinkedIn profile. And in your CV, it is one profile that they're looking, every recruiter looks forward to seeing your LinkedIn profile because that gives them a guide on who you are and they get to see you as one who is professional and onto something good for yourself. So the professional summary, this is like a personal statement of yourself, which spells out your professional objective. So what you just want to do here is to state what you offer, right? First of all, who you are. So I'm going to give an example of myself, who you are, what you can offer. And like I said, it should be directly under your personal information. And it shouldn't be more than, let's say, 3 to 4 sentences, right? So let me now give an example of myself, and I'm going to speak in the line of both tech and also in the development space. So let's say that I want to apply for a role in product management, and I want to write a professional summary in that role. So all I'm just going to do is to focus on the experience I've garnered over the years. So like I said, who you are. So I can begin in this line. So detailed professional. Remember the use of strong verbs I mentioned, right? So I can say detailed professional who has over 3 years experience. So just follow me, please. Like I said, who you are, what you can offer, and why you are applying for that role. So from what I've said so far, I've already talked about who I am. So what can I offer? So I said I have over 3 years experience, right, in product management. So that's already clear. So what I can offer, I don't necessarily have to go directly to say that, okay, this is what I can offer. So you have to paint it in a way. So one thing I tell people is let people see what you can do and what you can offer through how you present it. So I can now say that over 5 years of experience in product management, working with. So this is me trying to show who I have worked with, or maybe like a personal project I've done if you've not worked anywhere. So working with this organization. So let's say working with Product Analysis Tech Hub. So if I have not worked somewhere, if I've not volunteered or interned service, I can say who has built this product, or who has worked with a team that built a product in this line. So this is just like a background understanding of what you should have there on your professional summary, right? So let me now take it in the line of project management. Somebody saying something? Okay, all right. So I was trying to talk about the product management stuff. So when you've stated what you can offer through stating what you have done, I believe that we get that understanding, that you can now tell them the key achievements. So let's say that I have worked in the Product Analysis Tech Hub, which I was able to build a product that supported students in navigating their space through online learning platforms. So it means that probably the product I built is something around Coursera, all of those things, right? So it doesn't have to be big, but ensure that you're presenting it in the right way. So if it's in the line of content creation, you can even state the number of people get to state the number of jobs they've handled, but not like you spelling it out there. So you can say who has been able to create 50 plus contents in this number of duration. Do we get it? Please, I'm actually not seeing anyone's comments at the moment to be sure that you can get me clearly. Then when you're done with that, remember I said towards the end, you have to state why you should be selected for that role. So everything you've said now can really make the recruiter see what you can offer. It can also make them see why you should be selected, but you need to also still state it yourself, right? So I can now say towards the end that, so you have to show that you've probably researched this organization. So I can say towards the end, looking at your organization and the interest in, let's say, software as a service, I look forward to providing my skills that would help boost your organization, or let's say if it's in the line of sales, marketing, or finance, that will help boost your financial services from 50%. Please, no bogus words, from 50% to 70%. So these are ways to state how you're adding value to people, or how you're going to add value to people. So that's why I said, yeah, you should refrain from using words like I want to add value to any organization I find myself in. So let's move to the aspect of work experience. And yeah, you just need to state what you just need to do here is to state your experience, whether volunteering experience. So I know students always find it difficult to write work experience. So your volunteer experience counts as your work experience. So state it in this order, like I've mentioned here. So chronological order. So you state your most recent work experience. It should be topmost. So state it in this order, the dates, and also the name of the place and the summary of your role. So the summary of your role should be your key responsibility, right? And your achievements. So one thing I stated here is ensure that you're utilizing figures and percentages and data where possible. These are strong key things to look at. Then if you helped the organization achieve any form of business growth or make profits in any form, that's already a key achievement. So you don't just go to state a general responsibility, like let's say it's an administrative role. I'm trying to use different roles so that we can just understand generally. So administrative role requires that you probably take minutes, or let's say secretary. So you don't just put it general to say that I took minutes. Like I said, you don't even need to use I. So took minutes for the organization. That's very basic, and you're not selling yourself. So how do you now put that in a better way that will make the recruiters see the value you brought to the organization? So you can now put it in the line of saying that took minutes that improved the organizational skills. Sorry, improved the give back time. So that give back time, or let's use a basic word as saying that, okay, that improved the reporting details of the organization, because this organization has like a policy of at the end of, let's say, at the end of the week, you should submit like your reports, all minutes and everything that has been done. So if you are not taking minutes and everything that was said in that call, some things that probably were done or some things that were not done wasn't going to be noted. But because you did that rightly and you reported to your boss, that's actually helped the organization, right? So these are ways that you can just present yourself. And let's say that for people who are in maybe fellowships in schools and all of that, you held like a bonding section, a networking section, or you just brought people together. What did that help them achieve at the end of the day? That's the basic thing they want to see in your CV. What did it help them achieve at the end of the day? So your education history is just the same way, listed in chronological order. So name of institution, we're already behind schedule. So I'm just going to, I'm actually done. I just have like 2 slides left. Other ones are not very much important. So just state in chronological order. So your topmost, so if you're still a student, it means that the topmost degree you have is your secondary school certificate, right? So you just state it there. Then state DVM in brackets, open a bracket and place in waiting. So that's the first thing before you now place your secondary school certificate. Please, let's note that. So I see people not putting the degree they are currently working on, and you're limiting yourself when you don't put that. So you can say Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. Underneath it, Joseph Salmatsaka University, let's say you admitted 2018, right? 2018 to present. Then remember that I said that you should put in waiting. Thank you. So the next thing is the key skills. I've talked about this already. So just check online to see what are the key skills needed for that job, internship, or volunteer opportunity you're applying to, and ensure that you have those key skills because they're looking out for that. You can list your certifications that you've already gotten online, offline, the programs you've attended, the trainings, the everything, but ensure that it is relevant to what you're applying to as well. Don't just place everything. So what this means is that you can have a generic CV that is more than 2 pages. Remember I said the standard should be 2 pages, right? But then your tailored CV can now be specific to the role you're applying to, and that streamlines every other certification and other maybe roles or all of those things that isn't tailored somewhat to what you're applying to. So it's still the same thing we are saying in the awards, honors, and recognition segment. So something as basic as you trying to, let's say, what award is as basic in vet school or other departments? So every award you've received down to the AVMS, the IVSA, all of those things, they show your capability and your leadership skills. So have them in your CV. So if you've gotten to the point where you already have research and publications, So you can also have that. So if you're a content creator, this is a strong win for you. You can actually publish something and have that on your CV. So that's also like a personal project for yourself. So you don't have to have had let's say an undergraduate project before you have something written under the research and publication category. Yeah, so in as much as I said this is peculiar to academic CVs because we have the career CV and we have the academic CV, but then whatsoever CV you're focusing on, ensure that you're just giving the tailored aspect of it. So the CV formatting is just basically what you should look out for when you're formatting your CV for submission. So 12 points, fonts, then your headings should be 14 to 18. So we're wrapping up in 4 minutes because I remember we started at 8:15 and it's ought to be an hour. So I'm actually like really rushing out on everything. So we can have time to take questions at least for 5 to 10 minutes. So we have the CV submission, and the CV submission is just how to save your file. So ensure that you actually have your file in the PDF format so that it can be accessed wherever you get to submit your CV. And ensure that you always have your CV in the Word document format so that you can always tweak your CV to that role that you want to apply to, so you don't have to begin to create your CV from the beginning when the opportunity calls. Yeah, so these are just ways that you can reach me, and I would just lastly say something very key to us. So as a student, please don't limit yourself. I had my story as relates understanding CV writing all began while I was in school, and it began with self-studying. And I could recall I applied to a multinational company while I was in school. I didn't want to, I'm not going to call the name, but I didn't apply for the intention of getting the job. I wanted to see if I was really strong at my CV writing and all of that. I applied to that role, and clearly it was written, you should have graduated with a BSc, right? And I applied to that role. And it will shock you that I got in. So remember that then I still had in my CV DVM in view. And I got to the next stage, rather, not like I got to the next stage, right? And they asked me questions on how was I able to build my capacity to this level even as a student, and I was able to really express that to the point that they were impressed. And I got in. That was the period of COVID. Yeah, the period of, was it, no, that was not COVID. There was a long break that happened. Was it 8 months? I can't remember. There was this long break that happened, and students were at home and all of that. So just when I got into that role, remember I said I was not looking at working there, but when I got in, that was when the strike was called off. Yeah, but I was really glad. That was a validation for me, and that's what I really wanted to achieve. So this is me trying to tell you that you shouldn't limit yourself in any form. So ensure that you step out of your comfort zone. One thing I keep saying all the time is you cannot release your deepest potentials until you step out of your comfort zone. Sorry, I'm not speaking at my best because I've had to speak today. So I would just wrap off to say thank you for listening. And one thing I talk about all the time when I'm talking about CV writing is the power to make your first impression. Your best impression lies in you. So can you express yourself in your CV the right way? And can you get to that point where you get to the interview stage? Because that's the major thing. A lot of persons know how to really express themselves in words, but they don't know how to actually express themselves in writing. So with this, I believe that you've been able to learn key ways you can express yourself in your CV and as well in building your professional profile. Remember, I said, if you're not on LinkedIn, please, that's a space to maximize rightly for yourself. So thank you very much. And it was a great time with every one of us. So please, moderator.
Thank you so much, ma. That was a really great presentation, and I believe we all have a take home already. Please, if you have any question, you can ask now. It's now time for question and answer. Please, if you have any question, you can ask your question, or you can as well drop it in a comment section so that I'll read it out for you. If you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section. I can't see any hand up. If you have question, please ask. Are we saying we understand all what our presenter just said? Please, if you have question, please signify it so that I can give you go ahead to ask your question. Okay, thank you, ma. Thank you, ma. So nobody has question. Oh, okay.
Jide, there's someone raising. I saw someone.
I can't see any hand. Oh.
Hola. Yes, I saw it from my end.
Okay, then the patient can take over then.
I think she's still raising her hand. I don't know if it's
okay.
he or she.
Good evening, ma. Thank you very much for this nice presentation. Thank you for your time. Please, I could see maybe some CV, maybe somebody's applying for internship or something. I'm just talking about maybe relating to veterinary medicine. Like, does it mean like maybe in time, like you want to put your professional experience, like maybe your internship like you did or your laboratory experience, is it mean like can you put it different, like maybe your professional experience different, your laboratory experience different, your internship different, or can it be under one place, like just your working experience? You can just put both your professional skills, your internship and your normal this thing.
Okay. Yes, thank you for that question. So I've seen people do what you just said, but the best is you can either, if you've had a proper, so when I say a proper work experience, I mean a paid work experience. You can have work experience, then volunteer experience. So on the volunteer experience, you can put all of the IT, the lab, all of what you've mentioned as volunteer experience, right? Because what you did through that period was to learn, and you also gave some sort of service as well. So you could put that under volunteer experience. But then if you don't have a work experience, for me, when I was starting out, everything around volunteering was under work experience, because whether you're being paid in what they call it, in cash, right, or in learning, they're all same, right? So the best thing to do is to group them in the line of work and volunteer. But then if you already have like a standard work experience, you can just focus that part on the line of volunteering. So maybe what I would do is I already said that I was not going to share any because normally what I do is I will have to blur names, but I couldn't do that for this section, right? But if there's anyone, if you already have like your CV crafted and you probably need some sort of face value look briefly, then I could fit in. But if it's not something urgent, because when you say this on a call now, you see people reaching out immediately and they want you to respond immediately when it's quite a lot on your part. So at the moment, so I would just say that you should state it that way. I don't know if it's clear enough. Did I respond to, was that feedback clear for you?
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's very clear.
All right, thank you.
Nice, ma. Thank you so much, ma.
Okay, so
does any other teacher has a question? Please, if you
you can also drop it on the, did they use the chat? Okay, I can see some questions on the chat box now. And I think I saw a previous question, so let me just be sure. Okay, please, let's talk about professional CV. That's all. You're the person that just asked the question, right? I mean, related to veterinary. Okay. Oh, that was when I was talking about social media and the rest. Okay, Hola, can you reach out to me with your own that you've crafted? I probably would have maybe used examples related to veterinary students. But one thing I usually say is if I take off, if there's anybody on the call from my school that's Joseph Samantha, you may have heard me say this. So if I take veterinary medicine off you, what is that other thing that you can be known for? What's that other thing that can actually build you, and as well you can make some form of funds from? So that's why I was utilizing other examples, but it's still exactly same with if you utilize all of the things I said, it's exactly the same, but then you can still reach out. So another person said, I'm interested in CV on research internship. Okay. Okay, I think it's still almost related to what Ola was asking. So research internship, just follow the guideline we stated on this call, the headline, personal information, stating your work experience, and ensuring that you have your key achievements, right, in that key responsibility stated. Then the next person said, please, can we include referees in our CVs? Okay, I think, Jeremiah, you probably joined in late. I said from the beginning that you don't need your referees in your CV. Once that is needed, you would be asked for it. So you don't need, in fact, you don't also need to write. I see people writing referee upon request, something like that. It's really not needed. The standard CV, that's not needed. So you're also asking if yes, how many? You don't need that at all. So if they need it, they will ask you for it. And most times applications requires 3 referees, maybe 1 academic referee and maybe, let's say, 2 academics since you're still a student, and 1 other professional CV. Sorry, professional referee rather. Yeah, so I think that's about it. I don't know if we have any other questions, so we can call it the night. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ma. Does any other patient have a question? Please, if you have questions, kindly use your hand as well. Okay, also, Ma, I don't know if we can get your name, so that if we have any further inquiry, we can easily reach you, Ma.
Sorry, you said if you can get what?
I don't know if you can share your number with us so that if we need any further inquiry or question, we can easily get in touch.
All right, I'll place it on the chat box now. But this number I'm going to share is just like a WhatsApp number, and I will be very sincere. I'm not able to respond to messages immediately, but if you can be patient, I would respond.
All right, that's fine.
All right, I'm clicking it right now. Okay, thank you. So I'm trying to read the last question. I believe this is the last. In recent times, a lot of employers are starting to prefer portfolios instead of resume or CV. Okay, if you don't mind, can you throw more light on the difference between a portfolio and a resume? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So thank you for that question. Most times in the what they call it, in the tech space and content creation and all of that, they prefer your portfolios because what they just want to see is like the jobs you've handled, right? So I don't know, some persons prefer to utilize. So the idea of portfolio is just for you to show them the jobs you have handled. So if you have built a website, right, they want to see it. So most people use GitHub and all of that. So I have like someone, was it last week? The person was applying to, it was a social media management role. So all the person did was the person utilized Canva, right? Wow, someone is just joining the call. The person utilized Canva and just indicated the links to all of the social media that she had handled. So the person just created it in a form of in a file, but then it was more like a Canva document and placed it in a folder. So when the portfolio was requested for, that was what the person shared. So different ways. Some persons, like in the line of writing, I've had some people who just place all of the especially if you're not a ghostwriter. So if you're not a ghostwriter, it means that you have access, there's no privacy issue, right? So you have access to the jobs you've handled. So you can just place that in a folder. You can even utilize Google Doc and all of that. Just share it to the employer or whoever is requesting for it. So that's the basic difference. Portfolio is just focused on the projects, the jobs, and everything you've handled. So they don't need your personal details and all of that. I don't know if that's clear. Hi, Nohi, is that clear?
Yes, ma. Thank you, ma.
Okay, thank you so much. So Chinke, okay, you're asking for this slide. Oh, this is really difficult. I also said I was not going to share this slide. That's the truth. But I would. Okay, Jide, how would you get this slide across to people if I share it to you?
All right. You can send it to me. We have a group chat where I can share with people.
Okay, so everybody on this call is on the group chat?
I think so. Or is there anybody that is not on the group chat? If they are not on the group chat, you can as well reach out to me. I will drop my number on the comment box so that once I have the slide, anybody can reach out to me and get a slide from me.
Okay,
So after
all
the
right,
call, I will reach out to you as well so that I will have the slide.
okay, so
So then
the number I
anybody
placed on the chat box, that's my WhatsApp number. So you can just reach out to me, please. Thank you so
I'll
much.
do that after the call, ma.
All right, thank you very much. And it was a pleasure once again. Thank you, everyone. So these are my handles, and in case you just want to reach out, I'm actually more active on LinkedIn than any other space at the moment. Yes, so that's a better place to reach out to me. So thank you once again. I'm very much grateful and do have an amazing night rest. Thank you, Jide, and thank you, Vet Konect.
All right. Thank you so much, ma. We really appreciate the amazing time you share with us. Thank you so much, ma.